Hello and welcome to the Bober Academy Football Podcast. We are excited to bring back our Lineman of the Week series here for the 2022 season, where we're going to be highlighting great offensive line play throughout the Omaha metro area and surrounding areas. We're going to bring high school offensive linemen onto the show and their coaches and talk about their season, what they're doing, and everything to do with offensive line play. This podcast is brought to you by the Bober Academy. I started the Bober Academy in 2019 with the mission to train and develop superior linemen to dominate on the gridiron. I'm your host, Chris Bober, 8-year NFL veteran. I've started games in the NFL at every offensive line position, and I love dealing with anything to do with football, especially the offensive line. Now, if you are listening to this podcast, we're on your podcast app. Just be sure to click the subscribe button. So make sure that you're getting notified of our weekly shows. We do a lot of different shows out there. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, click the little button down there to subscribe to our channel and also the notification bell. We would love your comments and your feedback. And if you're seeing this anywhere out there on social media, feel free to like, share, retweet, comment, whatever goes on out there in the social media world. We want to spread the message of great offensive line play. So thank you for joining us. Let's get to the show. Okay, so we are in the Bober Academy Football Podcast studio, which is really just my office here. But we are so excited this week to have Skutt Catholic. We got Coach Matt Turman, and we got O-line Kale, Wiepen, and Adam McCaw. And Skutt is such a storied program around it. They're fairly young. You know, there was no Skutt Catholic when I was in high school, or just barely. But of course, we have Coach Matt Turman. Many people know Coach Turman from his exploits back in the 90s. We're really dating ourselves here, Coach, if we all remember that. But he's done such a great job. I think he's been there since 2002. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's awesome. And, they've had 5 state championships in Class B, 3-time runner-up. So a perennial playoff power. I believe they've been to several, I think 8 in a row you guys had at the semifinals. So just continue to carry on their tradition down there. And, of course, we have offensive lineman Adam McCaw, number 67, a man after my own heart. And then, of course, Kale Wiepen is out there as an offensive lineman as well. Now, the Skyhawks of Skutt Catholic are off to a 6-2 start, right? They're 4-0. They started off 2-2, and your losses came to 2 of the better teams in Class B. But since then, they've gone on a 4-0 run, and they have a really big matchup coming up. They're number 6 right now in the playoff points, and they're ranked number 5 by the World Herald. So, Coach, tell me about, you guys had a 2-2 start, which isn't bad. I mean, you guys lost to 2 really good teams, but you seem to have kind of hit your stride here over the last 4 games. And, has there been a difference maybe with how you guys were playing to start, or is it just you've just kind of gotten better every week and you feel like you're really kind of hitting your stride now?
Well, I think the latter. I do think we're playing a lot better than we did early in the year.
Mm-hmm.
We had the misfortune of missing a few guys early in the season and have been healthy these last few games, and that helps quite a bit also. And then we just kind of changed the way we were practicing. We got after it a little bit more, did a little bit more of our ones versus our twos instead of a scout team all the time, and maybe more of the physical part of practice instead of just the mental part of practice, and that's helped a lot also.
Yeah, there's something to be said about practice habits. In every level of football that I played, if you have a good week of practice, then you're going to have a good game. And you might not win that game, but you're going to perform better. How about you, Kale? Tell me about this difference in this 4-0, right? You guys are in kind of a streak here. What kind of difference have you seen, on the practice field and on the game Friday and Thursday nights?
I think people are just more focused during practice, and we've stepped up conditioning too from previous in the season. It's gotten harder, and we've all been working harder.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to kind of take off the diapers and get out there and get after it, right, Coach?
Sometimes the linemen don't like the extra running all that much, but nobody does, but maybe the linemen in particular.
It helps.
Yeah, it does. It does help. But being big guys, we're not built for those long things. You know what I mean? It's just the way it goes. We're not built. We're not long runners. How about you, Adam? What have you seen in a difference over this 4-0 streak? What have you seen with your guys?
I'd say it's just our attitude for the biggest part of it, that we were more focused, like Kale said, and that we realized that no one's going to lay down for us, and that we have to bring it to them. If someone hits us in the mouth, we have to respond to it. And it's just how we how we respond to what happens on the field and off the field that makes us a better team overall.
Yeah, kind of a coming together. And as seniors, you guys are obviously leading the charge in that. Probably the first guys to get after everyone and get them going, which is kind of what your jobs are to do. So, Coach, let's talk about your offense, because you guys kind of run an old school kind of offense, right? You like to get after. You run the football. I watch you guys out there a couple times. I saw you play in person against Elkhorn, and you guys do this. Just do what you do, right? You guys run some veer option, you run counter, you run trap, and you also have some wrinkles in there too. So it's a little bit of both. But tell me about your offense, what you're running, and tell me. I mean, we're going to talk about the O-line, but tell me about some of your skill players and what they're doing for you too.
Well, I guess I kind of go back to my Nebraska roots with Coach Osborne there. So we're I guess a base pro I team. I like to be in the I formation. I still like to have a fullback, have them lead up on the backer or kick out on the D end. We don't do a whole lot of zone blocking. That's a lot of angles and pulls and traps and down blocking and that type of stuff. I kind of like that a little better than the zone blocking. It just lets me, gets me to think that the linemen are a little bit more aggressive when they can go and hit somebody instead of just blocking an area or a zone. Particularly at the high school level, I think that's a good thing. And so we have we kind of blessed with a plethora of guys that can run. We've done a lot of rotating at the I-back spot with, 2 or 3 guys, Wyatt Archer, Colin Pike, who's a junior, and McCoy Holtum. They've all played there some. McCoy plays some at quarterback also with Bennett, my son. And so we have quite a bit of skill in the backfield that we can kind of rotate there. So most of those guys that I mentioned, besides my son, he weighs about $150, are play on the defensive side too. So it gets them some rest while they're on the offensive side, so they can also play full time on the defense.
Now, I know you got a big tight end, and when I saw you before Elkhorn, he wasn't playing. Have you gotten him back yet? What's his name? I don't recall his name, but he's a special
Brant Pickrell. Brant Pickrell, yeah. He did not play against Elkhorn, and that's why I was talking about we were missing a few guys on some of those key games, and so he'll be a big help, tomorrow night and then into the playoff push.
And you got another tight end that's about 6'7", right?
I think he's 6'9", actually.
Oh gosh.
So his nickname is Stretch. Kale and Adam would be able to attest to how tall he is. And he's a kid that played as a freshman, was not 6'9", and didn't play the last couple of years and came back out. And so he's helped us quite a bit also. Just giving Brant some rest, and when Brant was hurt, he did a good job. And he's a really big target to throw the ball to. You can miss by quite a ways, and he can still pull it in.
Yeah, very few guys make me feel short, but I saw him out there and I felt pretty short. All right, let's start with you, Kale. Tell me about your running backs, man. You got a few of them back there, but running back and O-line usually have a pretty good connection. But tell me about your guys back there and kind of what they do. I know they're probably not all exactly the same, but when Archer's in there, I know he's a super athlete. What's it like having him versus the other guys in there?
Arch, he just hits the hole hard. He'll cut back if he needs to. Mac is more, I think, straight ahead. He'll just run you over if he has to to get extra yards.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll stick with you, Kale. You guys, I've seen your film. I've watched some of it here. It looks like you guys just really like to come off the ball. Are you a guy that likes to be at the double team point of attack, or you rather be a puller?
I'd rather do a double team.
Yeah, I saw some double teams. You're coming off the ball pretty well.
And from the tackle position, we don't really pull as much.
Oh, okay. And tackles, they got to do that and get off the ball. But how about you, Adam? Tell me about your guys on the offense and kind of what they bring to the table.
Especially for the running back like Archer, I kind of feel like he's the magic man, where the moment he gets the ball, anything can happen. But again, it relies on us to lead them there, for us to move them in on the offensive line. For the offensive line, I think that we do a good job of that. We're really cohesive as a unit. We realize that for something special to happen, we have to act upon it. And even though if you don't get the credit, it's still fun seeing Archer run for 70 yards down the field.
Yeah. Coach, you got a couple I wouldn't call them trick plays, but I know you guys got like a couple screens that I've seen you guys bust some big plays on those. Even when things aren't going well, you kind of pull them out and it seems to catch the other team off guard. I know you have a middle kind of funnel screen, and it seems like Archer's the kind of the guy you get the ball in those situations. You run, then you pull out one of those and kind of bust a big play. Is that you kind of hold those back until you need them?
Well, yeah, a little bit, and some of those stuff. I like you said, I'm probably a little more old school, and so I got my brother on staff who likes some of that stuff a little bit, probably more than I do. So he talks me into some of that stuff. But we have that jailbreak tunnel screen out wide. We have a couple of playmakers that when they get the ball in space, with Wyatt Archer being one of them, but Joe Connolly's really good out there too. He's one of our faster wide receivers. He's made a couple nice catches on those and runs afterwards. And we have some plays that we can go to, and sometimes we're a little bit like Elkhorn in the fact that we want to run the ball first, and then when we throw that play action or something a little different, sometimes it catches people off guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, that's the name of the game in high school football is you got playmakers, you got to get them the ball somehow. You can't just always just hand it off. You got to get. Plus, they like to have a little fun out there. Coach, tell me about your O-line. Right, Skutt is known for producing quality O-line. I guess I want to add before that. So, of course, your brother Seth I played with him at UNO with a couple years, and he is that guy. It's kind of funny seeing him, in your offense because I remember him at Miller West and he used to run all kinds of exotic stuff. Do you have to kind of hold him back there a little bit before talking about that?
All the time. He wants to put in quads, formations, and all kinds of stuff. So I'm just like, okay, tone it down just a little bit. I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, man, this is Class B football. It's about running the ball. But, that's good stuff. Okay, so Skutt has produced really good offensive linemen for a long time. Tell me about your guys up front. I know we got two of your big boys up here, but tell me about those guys and kind of what you can do with those guys and how they're such an asset to your team.
Well, we have 3 seniors that start and 2 juniors. Both our tackles are seniors. One's Kale, and then Josh Buck is the other one. Mm-hmm. And he moved down from tight end. He'd been a tight end, but we needed some help inside, and so he moved down to tackle and is doing a good job for us. Then the guards are Adam there and another junior named Connor Trapp, who's also done a good job. Sometimes he's analyzing things too much and just needs to quit analyzing on what to do and just get going. And our center is Justin Witkowski, who's done a good job for us also. In our last game, we were kind of in a dogfight, and the second half we might have been trying to do a little bit too much, and these 2 guys can attest to it. At halftime, we basically just said we're going to run it, and we ran about 3 or 4 plays the whole second half. We basically ran an off tackle trap, an inside fullback trap, a toss ISO on ISO, and that was basically it. Maybe threw in a couple play action passes, but for the most part, we just said we're going to have to move them up front and get this done 5 or 6 yards at a time, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I bet you got your O-lineman. They started like foaming at the mouth when you told them we're just going to run the ball. But that's what football is, especially as you get towards later in the season, you get towards the playoffs. Conditions aren't always ideal. And, you got to win up in the trenches. Of course, that was a big win last week against Plattsmouth. And, tell me, Adam, let's start with you. Tell me about your guys up front. And this is also the time when you can, if you want, share a little dirt about these guys. I mean, O-line's a really tight group, right? And there's always someone in there who's, thinks he's the ladies' man, someone who thinks they're pretty, someone who thinks they're funny. Give me some insight on your guys up front, because I know you've been there for a while and you probably have some good stuff.
Yeah, well, I would say, first of all, it starts with the coaching for our coach Vers. He's a great offensive lineman coach, the best I've ever had. And he makes us better. He teases us, like you said, but he motivates us. He makes me want to play better. Like, I'd run through a brick wall for him. But for the other offensive linemen, like Connor Trapp, like Coach said, he does overanalyze a bit. He thinks that he's I'm in calculus as a junior. I'm so smart. But you got to realize that running the ball is not rocket science. It is not hard. It's ball you man. You move the man in front of you. It is not that hard. Just you play physical, you play hard, put your nose down, and you just say I'm better than you and drive you back for 15 yards. For Kale, my brother on the line, my right hand man. I got no dirt on him, obviously. My brother. I got nothing bad to say about him.
Right side.
Yep. For our our center Justin, I just think he's a great player as a junior. Starting as a junior, he got called up, and I think he's filled the role amazing. And for Josh Buck, he's a troublemaker sometimes. He's cost us a couple big penalties in a few games, but he's physical when he needs to be, and he flips a switch sometimes, and he just really gets after it, especially on defense.
That's a pretty comprehensive report there. Not a lot of dirt there yet. Maybe Kale can give me some. But real quick before, just to mention that you guys are blessed with having one of the better offensive line coaches around. You're very, very lucky at that. Coach Verzel does. Obviously, with my Boulder Academy, I do a lot of training. I know he does some too, and his stuff's good. I work with some of the guys that have worked with him, and he is solid. You're very blessed to have him out there. Not a lot of high schools can boast having an O-line coach that good. So good for you guys. Kale, anything you want to add in there? I mean, you probably got some better stuff than Adam had, right? I mean,
maybe a little bit. I'd say at the beginning of the season, I think like all 5 of us up there, we were just all playing for ourselves. I think we were all selfish, and then that flipped on our 4-0 stretch. I think we all like started playing together, communicating more, and just playing as a team.
Nice. No, I mean, nothing funny about your boys up there, because I'm going to share this on YouTube and Twitter and all that. And there's old linemen they're like mushrooms, right? They put us under a rock, and we just kind of don't get to see the sun. But this is your time to shine here. What do you got for everyone to know about the Skutt Catholic line?
Me, Adam, and Brant Pickrell, we always kind of joke. We always just say right side, best side.
Yeah.
We're right guard, right tackle, and then tight end whenever he's over there.
Yeah, we had the same thing, because I remember in college I did the same thing. We're just kind of going back and forth, and it's a little bit of a rivalry out there, which is pretty fun. But Coach, sounds like you guys have a pretty special group up front, and they're really kind of one of the reasons why you guys are off and running as you head towards the playoffs. But this week is a very big game, right? You face the Gross Catholic Cougars, and I've coached a lot of their linemen. I know a lot. I'm South Omaha, so I know those guys down there. And they're having a pretty special season. They're very, very good up front. Run the ball well. How do you see this game going into this game? What's your message to these guys, and knowing that you're playing one of the top teams in the state?
Well, I think, we've played a couple of them teams already that Bennington and Elkhorn are top 2 of the top 3 or 4 teams. And so it's not like we're going to go into the game thinking we haven't seen good teams already. So that's the first thing. We know they're good up front. And they're probably bigger than we are just across the board. These 2 guys can stack up, but some of our other linemen are a little bit smaller just in size. So pad level is going to be important. If we try to block them up high, we're going to have a little bit of problems. So got to keep the pad level down and drive the feet. And then we just like we talked about, we do have some guys that are really good in space. So if we can get the ball out in space a little bit, and maybe get a chance to make one guy miss for a big play, that will go a long ways.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a battle. They don't give up much. And Kale, what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts going into this last regular season game of your senior year? Right? What is it? What does this matchup mean to you, especially knowing that you're facing one of the better fronts you're going to face all year?
Well, it's senior night, so we just have to leave it all out there. I mean, at this point, no time. We got to go out there, play our best game, try to take off the number 2 team in the state.
Nice. How about you, Adam? Obviously, a big challenge ahead of you. The Battle of the Catholics, right? All of us Catholics it's like a holy war out there. But all that fun aside, you're playing a really good football team. How do you guys feel going into this and knowing you have a big matchup?
Well, I remember playing them last year. They were a big team, same as always. They're a physical team. They love to hit. Sometimes dirty at times, but you know what? I say let's welcome that. It's the last game of the season, week 9. It's senior night. Let's leave it all out in the field. They love to hit. They sure make a note of that, and I say I do too. We do too as the Skutt Catholic O-line. So I say bring it, and we'll see who wins at the end.
Man, I love it. You guys, you sound like your coach, man. You sounds like he's Coach Verzel, I know, is getting after you guys, and it sounds like you guys are all pumped up and ready to go. All right, Coach, wrapping us up here. Obviously, you guys are headed to the playoffs, right? And you got a big test this week, and win, lose, or draw, you got the playoffs coming up. What do you what are you telling your guys as you get towards the playoffs? What you've been so successful getting to and winning state championships. Tell me about like your approach to the playoffs and how you're going. How do you get these guys ready, not just for this big game this week, but also knowing that you're playing playoff games coming up?
Well, I think this is a good precursor to what the playoffs will be. It kind of shows us where we're at, where we need to improve. If we, if we can come out victorious, it's a great morale boost going into the playoffs. If we don't, we still the season's not over. The way we figure it, both teams, Gross and ourselves, we'll get a home playoff game, round one, regardless of who wins and who loses. And so the important thing is if we win, great. We'll get ready for the playoffs. If we lose, we have to rebound and not let that loss affect the first round, so we can make sure to get out of that. Last year we were kind of in the same situation, and we were about a player or two away from making it back to the state finals. So I think regardless of what happens this Friday night, it will be a good way to get prepared for hopefully, 4-game stretch after that in the playoffs.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good plan, and kind of staying even keel, not making this game the meaning of the season, because you have more games after this. That's a great plan. Of course, you're talking about last year. You guys, just about made it against a really, really good Aurora team. You guys are right there. So, all right, Kale, big game this week. Got playoffs coming up. What, as a senior, what's your message to your underclassmen, to your team as you lead these guys out towards the playoffs?
Treat this Gross game like a playoff game. Like, we can't just go in there and expect to win. We have to go in there and earn the win, just like we do in every playoff game.
Nice. How about you, Adam? What's your feelings going into this game and knowing that you're going to the playoffs and to try to make a run towards that state championship?
Like Kale said, treat it like a playoff game. I hope that some people just don't realize that if we lose this game, we're still going to go to the playoffs. But I mean, I want to win. It's my senior night. It would feel great going to the playoffs, beating an undefeated team. I don't want Gross to be undefeated. That would suck, because I have a lot of friends that go to Gross. I don't want that hanging them over my head. So just for Gross, we just leave it out on the field. It's gonna be a physical game, and just whatever happens, happens.
Nice. I love it. I think you guys got to go down to South Omaha to try to take these guys out, right?
We're at home actually. So.
Oh, you're at home. Okay, that's good. That's good. Make them come out to your place. Let them get on the bus and take that bus ride home. But awesome, guys. Well, I really appreciate it. I learned a lot from you guys, and I'm so impressed with kind of your enthusiasm and your answers. And it sounds like you guys have hit your stride as a team, but of course up front as an offensive line. And I want to wish you guys the best of luck going against Gross Catholic this week. And then of course, as you go towards the playoffs, I'm sure I'll be out there watching you guys. But thanks so much for coming on. Best of luck against the battle of the Catholic schools out there. And no matter what, we're going to be watching you guys in the playoff. I'll be pulling for you guys. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to share this with everyone out there so you guys can do the same. But thanks for being O-lineman and being everything you guys are. Coach, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Podcast is available on all podcast platforms. So wherever you listen to your podcast, we're going to be on there. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. That way you get notified of new episodes. Also, we are on YouTube. If you want to find us on YouTube, just search for the Chris Bober Lineman Academy, and be sure to also subscribe to our page. Click the notification bell and feel free to comment, share everything that goes on there. We're on social media as well. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We even have a page on TikTok. So the more you can follow us out there, the more we can spread the message of great offensive line play out there. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, be sure to reach out to us through any of those social media channels and spread the word. We want to get offensive line play great here and everywhere.